Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you for stopping by to watch. Today's video I'm going to do something I hardly ever do, and that's talk much more politics. Or at least give kind of my analysis, my opinion, which, well, that's every video, right? No, I really try to stay away from specifics of like people in elected office or candidates and stuff because, well, you know, my opinion is the two-party system is just two wings of the same bird. I mean, there is some differences, but, you know, a lot of it's a political game. So that's why I kind of steer away from that a lot. And I make no secret of that. You know, I'm not a party man, okay? I'm a constitutional, libertarian, conservative, you know, kind of fall into that. I don't know, I don't like labels. Anyways. So anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is something that the president said. He recently visited Kenosha, Wisconsin. And I believe, my understanding is correct, he said it at that where he went to view the destruction there from all the rioting. And he put out a plea to his followers, to people that, you know, support him, to not engage with the rioters, to not engage with Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And I understand why he said it. I mean, there was someone that was shot and killed, which what appears to be, you know, just pure murder. There seems to be no self-defense whatsoever that a Trump supporter was shot and killed up in Portland. So I understand he's coming at it maybe from a, you know, safety issue that, hey, you know, let's try to not put yourselves in a situation that could become deadly violent. On the other hand, because he said let law enforcement handle it. That's what he said. He said, don't engage with them, just let law enforcement handle it. Well, unfortunately, law enforcement hasn't been handling it very well. And I know that it's not just their fault. It's not that law enforcement doesn't care or that they're not capable. By and large, in these big liberal cities where most of these riots have been happening, it's because the law enforcement's hands have been tied. The leadership is very liberal, and they have put very stringent rules on what the police can do and how they can engage. Their rules of engagement are absolutely absurd in some of these cities, specifically when facing these rioters. Their rules for how they can defend themselves, what types of tools they can use, less lethal or even arrest, and even when they do arrest them, by and large, the vast majority of these protesters, or these rioters, these, you know, violent criminals are being released. They're not even being prosecuted a lot. So I'm not totally here beating up on the police for not doing their job. You know, I believe that there's the big part of why they're not doing their job is because their hands are being tied. But here's the thing. Are we supposed to just sit back, not engage, you know, not expect anyone to engage, not expect anyone to ever stand their ground, defend their neighborhoods, defend their homes, defend their businesses, and just hope that the law enforcement side does their job when they don't, these rioters just destroy things? And so I feel that there's a little bit of a predicament here, and when I read that the president said that, I checked online at some very pro-Trump groups that I'm in, just to kind of see their feel of it. And it actually didn't go over very well at all. Most of them said, hey, then do something about it, Mr. President. Stop this, or we will stop it. People are starting to get really fed up. As of yet, most of it has been just talk, but there has been some action. There were several hundred pro-Trump, conservative, patriot type people that did a pretty big caravan going right through downtown Portland the other day, which is when the guy was shot and killed. And I was quite surprised. There was some action there put to their words. And so there does seem to be that the silent majority, that sleeping giant, is starting to wake up. But, you know, are we supposed to just sit back and let the authorities handle this? And I get it. I get that the president is really kind of painted into the wall. I mean, he really is. Because no matter what he does to try to stop this, no matter, you know, whether it's encouraging you and I to take care of it, or sending in the National Guard or the Army or Insurrection Act or federal authorities, everything he does is probably not going to work out well for him. But also, if he does nothing, it's not going to work out well for him. So he's in a predicament, and I get that. So I'm not really beating up too much on him, but I think that more and more people are starting to realize that what is going on here is much bigger than just, you know, a few hundred people showing up occasionally to protest, and that there might be a few bad apples amongst those protesters that, you know, do some violent acts. I think people are starting to realize that this is a very orchestrated thing that's happening all across America. I mean, if you notice the pattern, they will protest in a city for, you know, a few days, a week. Usually I've noticed that it really doesn't last too much longer. The real heavy protesting and violent acts does not last much more than about 5 or 6 days. Well, it's not because that they just kind of lose their steam and give up. It's because they pack them all up in tour buses and on airplanes, and they ship them to another city. And then all of a sudden, the next city is going on. You watch and see, the next one's going to be L.A. because there was a sheriff's deputy there in L.A. County that shot and killed a black man. He was armed and he was pointing the gun at the deputy. But they're already talking online of that's the next place they're going to protest. And it's kind of quieted down in Kenosha. I mean, they burned half the city down. I don't know if that's exactly accurate, but they did a lot of damage there. And now it's kind of quieted down, and they're going to move on to the next city. You know, all those people that were there protesting in Kenosha, they didn't just go home and go back to work or whatever. At least 2/3, because 2/3 of the people that were arrested weren't even from that area. They're from out of state. And so I think we're just seeing a bunch of people traveling around, and it's not randomly. It's not just by chance. Like I said, this is quite organized. I've seen pictures of whole fleets of tour buses that are Black Lives Matter tour buses, where they're traveling around. There's some compelling evidence that they're being flown around on airplanes to different places, that there's, you know, all this money that's being dumped into Black Lives Matter. And there's really nothing they're not doing anything as an organization, but yet they're raising lots and lots of money. So where is it being spent? So what this tells me is that number one, it's definitely a political move. It's being done to hurt the president's chance of being reelected. But I think that there's even something a lot bigger that's going on than just that. And I wouldn't put it past them for doing it for that and only that reason. But I still stick by my guns that this is all being done to disrupt our society to the point that bringing in this new era, this new revolution of this Marxist, globalist, communist, system, it's going to be easier to push that through if cities are burning all across America and we're in a civil war amongst ourselves, ushering in that new era of this new political ideology is going to be easier for them. So there's a reason why we're seeing what's going on. This isn't just happening by chance. There just doesn't happen to be, as soon as someone gets shot and killed, hours later, hundreds or thousands of people just happen to flood the streets. And it just so happens that they're from all over the country. They just happen to know to go there. This is quite orchestrated. And it's very much getting out of hand for many people. Certainly most of America is not feeling this, but this is hurting a lot of these cities. And, some could say, well, those are liberal-run cities, who cares, let them burn. But there are good American people there in these cities. This is America. And we are sitting back and we're watching parts of our country being destroyed by these communist, Marxist anarchists. And at some point, people are going to get fed up, and we're already seeing that. I saw just a few days ago the organization Oath Keepers. Same kind of thing. They posted something online and said, this is in fact a civil war. And we as an organization pledge our membership, we'll push our membership to stop this. And they flat out said that if the president does not step in and end this insurrection from these Marxist rioters, then we as an organization will step in. And Oath Keepers is around 40,000 membership of current and former police officers and military people. That's a pretty good size army right there, an experienced army. People are fed up, and there's not really a whole lot more options left politically to stop this. And the reason why, let's just say for instance, and this isn't going to happen, but let's just pretend that the left, the Democratic leadership, say they concede and they're like, okay, this has gone on too far. Please stop. Let's just stop this. And let's even go as far to say that the people that were paying them, that some of these people, I don't think all the rioters are being paid, but I think some are. There's probably certain ones in each group that are kind of the instigators of keeping it moving along. They're probably being paid. But let's just say they stop paying them. And let's say the left, starts publicly speaking out against it. Please stop these riots. I don't think it's necessarily going to end. And the reason is that the people that are involved in this rioting, by and large, are people that have, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter, they hate America. They hate our system. They hate our values. They hate our way of life. These aren't just people that I need a job, I don't really care, America's okay, whatever, whatever. It's an okay country, and then they see an ad in the newspaper, hey, we'll pay you this amount of money to come riot. These people that are already people that are hating this country. They already hate it. They already hate our system, our values, our morals, our beliefs, everything. They already hate it. And maybe the ones that are being paid saw an opportunity to make some money, and it doesn't really matter. The fact is that that's their core belief. And even if the money's taken away, and even if the politicians on the left and stuff, cry out for them to stop, these people have already proven their point. They have proven what they've been claiming for years, that if they stood up against the system, they could start a revolution. They have proven that without really using guns, although they've used them occasionally, but by and large, not having an actual military-type tactics where they just go in and they just disrupt. They're not actually going in and shooting and killing people, even though some have. Follow me here. That they can enact a revolution. The thing that they have been talking about, the thing that these kind of people, and I get on occasionally when I'm online and I look them up and I look up, posts by these kind of people just because I want to see what the opposition is saying. And this is the kind of stuff that they've been saying for years. I've actually sat down a few years ago. I met some people that were very openly supportive of Antifa. And they were flat out open Marxist communists, proud of it. And I sat down with them and had a conversation, and there was some banter and some argument, and we certainly weren't friends, and we didn't leave friends. but they were at least mature enough to sit down and talk to me and explain to me what they think and their experiences and the other people that they've met. And it really opened my eyes to what these people believe and how they think. And they have talked for years about doing this. It's been their dream, like they can taste it on their lips, of pushing for this violent revolution. And now they're doing it. And I don't think now that that cat's out of the bag, there's any putting it back. And it doesn't matter if their paychecks from George Soros stop. It doesn't, most of these people are homeless anyways, or druggies, or just whatever. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So they don't care if they're really getting paid or not. That's probably just an added bonus for a lot of them. And they don't care if Joe Biden or Hillary Clinton or anyone like that stand up and tell them to stop. They don't care any more about them than they do about Donald Trump. They want a communist revolution. They want absolute anarchy in the streets because they believe all your stuff and all your rights are theirs. And this is not going to stop. They are not going to just walk away. Okay? They're not just going to say, okay, we give up, because they've tasted that, It's kind of like, when an animal tastes blood, that tastes that fresh blood. They crave that. They want that now. You can't just let them do what they've been doing, the amount of destruction. And not just destruction. It's the fact that they have proven that they can stand up against law enforcement and even National Guard. Armed soldiers, armed and trained police officers, and can use their tactics to push those guys back. That they can take the ground. They've proven that they can actually take, American soil and claim it as their own independent, autonomous zone. Certainly we have the firepower to go in and just mow right over the top of them, but we don't have the will to do that as a people. As a people and a nation as a whole, we don't have the will to do that. We have certainly enough manpower and firepower to go into these riots and stop them cold in their tracks, but we don't have the guts and the will to do that. And they know that. They have called the bluff, and they saw that it was just a bluff. They saw that we don't have, as a nation as a whole, we don't have the backbone to stand up when they start to push. We fall back. I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of videos over the past few months of these riots. And more times than not, when the rioters start pushing, the police keep taking a step back, and then they kind of lock in, and then they push them, and the police step back, and then they lock in, and then the crowd pushes, and they step back. Now, there are times where the police kind of had enough, or they try a different tactic and they kind of move in and break them up, or they tear gas them or whatever. But the point is over and over and over again, they have proven to themselves and to the rest of the world that they can push back the law enforcement. They can push back the military even. And that if they create enough havoc, that eventually the government will kind of lose its interest in it and kind of back away, which is what happened in Portland at that federal courthouse, where they finally pulled out a lot of the federal troops and the federal law enforcement agencies. And I understand it was because their crazy liberal mayor, was demanding they leave, all that. But what they've proven is that they can do that. They've proven that their actions can garner enough sympathizers here in the United States that they can actually get something done. And so I don't believe that these people are just going to walk away. And on the other side, if the president and the governors and mayors, even the conservative ones, don't have the guts to stand up and say enough is enough. Now, maybe the president has a plan to deal with it after election, but this thing is amplifying quite rapidly. I mean, this thing, it's moving along. Like, how bad is it going to be in 2 months from now, right? I mean, the election's 2 months away. How bad is it going to be in a couple of months? Because as of today, from 2 months ago, it's gotten pretty bad. And it's multiplying. It's like exponential growth. The rioting and the violence. So are we supposed to just sit back for the next 2 months and pray and hope that all this rioting doesn't come to us, so that then if President actually gets elected, he can step in and take care of it? Maybe that's our only option, but things aren't looking good, folks. At some point, people got to start realizing that we really are in a civil war. Maybe it's not everywhere, but it is happening. And I don't have a solution. I can't tell you what to do. But I can tell you that from my beliefs, this isn't just going to wrap up and go away. And come November 3rd, even if Joe Biden got elected, they're not going to go away. Do you think those people are just going to pack up and go back and just become normal people in society and start respecting the laws again just because Joe Biden gets elected? He's not a communist enough for them. They're going to not want him too. He's some old white guy, and the only reason they might support him now is because he's not Trump. But as soon as he gets elected, they're going to want him out too. Or they're going to demand a communist revolution led by him, and when he doesn't, they're going to be against him too. This animal that has been created with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, I don't think it's something that really anyone or anything can stop next to, you know what I'm saying, some lead, or at least some real stiff, resistance by folks like you and I. These people, this mentality has been building up for the last 3 or 4 or 5 decades in this country, and it's come to a peak. This idea of creating a communist, world here in the United States has been going on for a long time, and they're finally getting some ground, and I don't think they're going to give it up for anything. All right, folks. Thank you for watching. I know it's getting bad and it's getting crazy, but I still believe in the end we will prevail. I'll catch you in the next video.